Hi everyone, I'm Spencer, and this is Everything Outside the Frame. Recently I finished watching the Queens Gambit, for the third time. I mean, sure, there are a lot of good limited series out there, but it made me wonder to myself, what is it that puts this show on its own level? Is it the wonderful cinematography by Steven Meizler? Is it the fantastical world created by costume designer Gabrielle Binder and set designer Uli Hanish? Or is it the incredible and now award-winning acting? Maybe it's the always lovable story of a tortured genius. Or is it the fact that it breathed life back into one of the oldest and most complex games of all time? Well, all of these things. But I noticed one technique in particular that set this show apart from the rest. Something so simple, you learn it in the first week of film school. Yet, so subtle the audience rarely questions it. And that's the power of the reaction shot. Considering this is my first video, I'll start with a very brief bio of who I am. I'm a photographer and filmmaker living in Los Angeles with over 16 years of experience behind the camera. I've had a lucky opportunity to work with some of the best in the industry, and I'm in the process of doing much more. I feel I've learned a lot through the years, and I'd love to share some of my thoughts. Alright, back to the good part. Now, a reaction shot requires no definition, but to emphasize my point, I'll give it one anyways. A reaction shot is when a character reacts to a specific situation, be it a conversation, love interest, or even the lack of anything at all. It gives us as an audience a viewpoint into the character's mind where words could never suffice. Most people won't understand much about chess. And that's not to say the general population is chess illiterate, but few can truly follow the complex sequences being used at the Grandmaster level. So how do we relate to a character playing a game we can't follow? How do you invoke the fear and dread into the audience to match Harmon's? Simple.
You're resigned now.
Just a look. Actions speak louder than words, and this works tenfold for faces. Whether you know it or not, there is nothing in this world a human will study more, visually, than another person's face. We do it every day. A smile, a tear, confidence, conflicted, panic, love, heartbreak. I definitely have to give credit to Anya Taylor-Joy, who worked closely with director Scott Frank. I even found out later through watching the Making of Queens Gambit video on Netflix, which I highly recommend watching after this if you haven't, that cinematographer Steven Meizler said in an interview that the faces were one of the most important parts of telling the story.
I found that the strongest points is just being on people's faces and their reaction. Even if you don't understand chess, you know the seriousness and the drama that they're going through.
Together, this team conveyed to the audience complex emotions like how it feels to be completely helpless, the spiraling web of self-destruction, and the loneliness of what it was to be deeply obsessed with something that you thought no one else but you seemed to understand.
Doesn't everybody?
And without a long sequence of boring exposition, it takes a certain finesse most wouldn't even bother with. Yeah, it's really amazing after rewatching the show to record the shots, I found out how very little is actually said in this series. Nearly all of the deep interaction between characters requires little to no dialogue. I'll give an example of one of my favorite scenes. In Las Vegas, where Harmon meets Towns again, and they go up to the hotel room to take a couple pictures. In this scene, Towns, played by Jacob Fortune Lloyd, moves up to get a close-up picture of Harmon. There's the disconnect between them, Harmon looking through the lens, and Towns looking through the viewfinder. So in most other series, we'd go into some long dialogue, where Harmon would talk about how, "Oh, I've been in love with you since I first laid eyes upon you." And Towns would say something like, "Me too, Harmon, but you were only 16 at the time and I'm an older man. Now we're in the same room together, alone." But instead of that, well, we have this. Without a single word, barely even a touch, we have a dramatic love scene filled with tension and emotion. Now, they say the eyes are the window to the soul, and in the Queen's Gambit, we have this beautiful connection to these characters. This vulnerability you can only get through their eyes. And I think it's these kind of scenes that play out through the series over and over that really drive the emotion of the film. And that, to me, is what makes this show so great. So next time you watch this series, or any series at all, wait for that moment where words just won't cut it. Thanks for watching my first video essay. There will be more, so don't forget to hit subscribe, and of course, I'd also love to hear your thoughts on the show. What did you think made it so great? Or if you disagree completely, not so great. The best thing about art is there are no mistakes. and there is no right or wrong answer. This has been Everything Outside the Frame. Till next time.